Jim, these insights resonate strongly. Our audience surprises me with their understanding of complex topics when we discuss them. Many are well-versed in these matters, easily grasping the crucial elements available to those who know where to look. You've recently recorded an exclusive video discussing an upcoming geopolitical shockwave, a major development in global finance since 1971. You also offer strategies for individuals to benefit from this crisis. Regarding the economic situation, you've pointed to the Biden administration for depleting our oil reserves significantly, surpassing all previous presidents. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine adds to these challenges. How much blame rests with the president versus supply chain issues? And as we're about 17 months away from an election, where do we currently stand?
It's a great list, Brian, because you can say, well, we could talk about the war in Ukraine. Yeah, we could talk about monetary policy. We just kind of did go through some of the recession indicators. We can talk about the election. But they're all connected. I mean, that's really where the complexity theory and the density of the network comes in, because these things are all connected. So just to spend a minute on Ukraine. By the way, I just last week I do this annually, so it's been 8 years in a row. Conducted a seminar on financial warfare at the U.S. Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And it is at the Army War College, but there are people there from all branches. It's a very elite group, handpicked about 12 students, mid-career officers. So they're kind of late 30s, early 40s, lieutenant colonels, and from all branches like at Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and a few civilians, State Department and CIA, NSA, intelligence community. But it's a fun group, 1,213. I look at the resume, it's amazingly accomplished. They all have multiple master's degrees, the occasional PhD, speak 4 languages, been deployed from Iraq to Colombia or wherever, but they've been handpicked as the future big brains. These are people. 5 years from now, there'll be 3-star generals on the National Security Council, etc. It's a fun class, and my topic is financial warfare, which is kind of like finance and warfare, which is what we're mashing up right now. And I spent a lot of time talking about this whole BRICS thing, and we can talk about that if you like. But I tell interviews like this, Brian, I always explain. I said I didn't say anything in the U.S. Army war colors that I'm not saying in this interview. It's not like I have a secret package for them and we do something else. I just say the same thing. You can take it or leave it. You can agree or disagree. But it's a great group, very interactive. But I was talking about the Ukraine war, and I said one of the most difficult things about this is getting reliable information in a war. Everybody lies. So the U.S. lies. If you ask me what has surprised me about the war, the conduct of the war, the development, hasn't really been a surprise. Russia was always going to win. Just question how long. It's tragic. But I'm surprised at how many warmongers there are in the know. They're mushy. Germany's between a rock and hard place. Hungary is actually against the no. Again, a little. Sorry. The US has the warmongers, I know that. But starting with Boris Johnson and going to Rishi Sunak, I mean, they're more bloodthirsty than the Americans, and they're the ones providing the Challenger tanks, etc. I don't quite get it. I think all these Chamberlain, Churchill, Hitler metaphors fall down. I mean, I know history. I know what Chamberlain did. And I know Winston Churchill was one of the great heroes of the 20th century. But I don't see that parallel. Are they doing it to try to get a better trade deal with the US? Is it that simple or no? Well, it disappoints me to see the UK act as kind of lackeys of the... It's sad to know it's not the heyday of the British Empire, but it's one of the largest economies in the world. Major financial center, nuclear power. I mean, it's not like it's a tertiary power, but I see what's going on. But I have to say I don't understand it. I don't see why the UK can't go their own way a little bit. But they are, so they're not. But not to get too immersed in the positive. You can pretty much lay the entire Ukrainian tragedy at Biden's feet because Ukraine would not. Russia would not have invaded Ukraine in February of 2022 if they hadn't been provoked for 14 years. I mean, going back to 2008. So what happened in 2008? George W. Bush stands up at a NATO summit and says Georgia and Ukraine should join NATO. He just said that. 3 months later, Putin invades Georgia. That's right. 2008 Olympics. So Bush says Georgia and Ukraine should join NATO. Putin almost immediately invades Georgia and takes the place over. It's like, were you not paying attention? Did you not get the message? And we had the global financial crisis and a lot else. So fast forward to 2014. What happens? They have an election in Ukraine. A pro-Russia, pro-Putin president wins. You can debate election. How high quality was the election? You can say, I don't like the guy, but he won. There actually was an election. And within months, the MI6 and CIA working with neo-Nazi elements in Ukraine. And they've been there since the Second World War. Overthrow the guy. They basically had the Maiden Square color revolution, so-called, which is all orchestrated by the intelligence agencies. They got snipers. They're killing people. The anti-Russian Ukrainians were doing the killing. And then the guy flees for his life, goes to Russia, and the US installs a puppet. Wasn't Soros funding Vice to go there and cover it in the central square? Correct. Yeah. And Victoria Dolan's behind the whole thing. She's got blood coming out of her mouth. I don't. So Putin's like, wait a second. We had an election. The pro-Russian guy wins. And you stage a coup, de facto coup, and kick him out and put in a puppet. So what does Putin do next? He invades Crimea or Nexus. Crimea takes it over. So it's like, okay, Georgia should join NATO. He invades Georgia. Ukraine should join NATO. We just had a coup. He takes over Ukraine. Are you not paying attention? You meaning the West, us, UK. Are you not paying attention to what's going on here? And then they sponsored anyway, without getting. They sponsored attacks on the Russian-speaking part of Ukraine, etc. So by Putin's at the end of his rope now, yes, he did invade.